First time I had sex for money was in LA, probably in the early 90s. I was just skating around, talking to the whores because I didn't have a car, and I was on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood. Some van started following me, and he asked me if I needed a ride, and I said no. So I just went to the next corner, and there he is in his van again. He's all, "You sure? I'll give you money." I was like, "Money? What, you owe me money?" He's all, "Yeah." I was like, "For what?" He's all, "For sucking your dick." I was like, "That's right." So I jumped in. We messed around a little bit. He just blew me off. And then, I guess, when I was growing up, I remember, I was born in '70s, so in the 80s and 90s, it was still not so okay to be queer or something like that. So I remember we were driving through West Hollywood, Santa Monica Boulevard, and everybody, my auntie, I think, was pointing out like all the hustlers, the boys on the street. I was fascinated because I hadn't even had sex in high school yet, and I was afraid of what I liked because you weren't supposed to be like that, so I was fascinated by them. And then when I finally moved to LA and I didn't have a car and I was just skating everywhere, and everybody I met was, working the street somehow. So, growing up, I thought, everybody was, living a terrible time on there, and some people were, but a lot of people weren't. They were just getting by. It's fun to get your dick sucked, and if somebody's gonna give you money, then I'm okay with that. And I guess I'm okay with it. I think everybody has a completely different experience in it. There's no like single story. There's overlap, there's similarities, but I mean, my situation is really unusual. Well, I don't know if it's unusual, but it's not what you hear all the time. I don't advertise. I talk about it, but I don't like tell people, I don't have a pimp. I keep all my money. I make my own decisions. I don't do what I don't want to do in every situation. I'll quit a job, like a 9-to-5 job, if I don't want to do that. And so, for sex work, I guess it's just pretty minor to me. I'm in control of everything. I don't like to do a lot of stuff anyway when I'm doing it myself, like, with someone I like. It's not that I don't like to, whatever. I'm pretty mellow about a lot of things. So if somebody offers me money, I'll ask what they want, and if I don't want to do it, then I say no, or just try to think of something else to do to get that money. But but I've known people that have been forced to do stuff. I know a lot of like kind of stories that I wasn't even aware of what's going on when I'm talking to people, and then down the line I realized they're like part of something like really scary, and so I understand that there's people that are in this in sex work against their will, or they were manipulated somehow and made to think that whatever they're doing that they wanted to do, but but that's not everybody, and so I think that's a big problem, is that people that talk about trafficking and stuff like that, they say that there's only one story, that if it's sex and money, then it's abuse, and that's so narrow, and it's because I have sex for money. I don't know a million other things, because I know some boys that do stuff. A friend of mine, he just comes to work. He's like, "I just made $500." I was like, "Damn!" I don't make that much. I like cruise with. He hooks up with tourists and travelers, and he's young and he's cute and he's hung and stuff. So he has all these things going for him, and he's got a big sex drive and stuff. So he does pretty well, and just guys that he meets at the bar, and or I don't know how else he meets people. We don't get that too into it. But for the boys, what I think is kind of unfair is how like a lot of the trafficking people and anybody that's talking about prostitution, it's mostly street-based, women, that they're talking about. There's other people there, but like a lot of the queens are on the street, and the boys are mostly not on the street. So, but they don't talk about anything but, this poor female, and it's good to talk about them, want to help people, but don't assume that everybody's, suffering or has a vagina, So, but about what's going on here, I've done like hooking on the street in drag in Chinatown. Chinatown, a couple times, and it's mellow. You know, like the girls watch out for each other. I don't know much about female, you know, or the girls in Waikiki. I know some of the boys thing, but the boys don't really have a scene, and because it's usually guys with guys, we understand each other, so we don't have to like, you know, play all these games or like be afraid, you know, because you figure like you could hurt you if a guy wants to fuck with another guy, but like mess with his, you know, reputation or something like that. Sometimes it's a little more even because a lot of times that's a married guy, or you know, somebody that isn't out as queer or isn't out as someone who hires, you know, sex. And so I don't know, as a boy I don't think I don't see everything. I know there's stuff going on in the strip bars and, you know, or anywhere, but just because I do it doesn't mean I know everybody or know what's going on. My situation is really, you know, just myself. But I think a lot of people are like that because there's not really a community. You know, we all kind of, so, you know, I think a lot of the queens know each other, and because their options are limited in what they can do in life because of society, you know, and, you know, they're also looking for, whatever, I shouldn't speak for anybody, but, you know, I think for maybe, and when I was doing drag more and hanging out with the girls more, we would talk about that kind of stuff more often, whereas I don't really hang out with a lot of gay dudes, and I don't go to the bars as much, and so I don't know too many other guy sex workers. I know who some of them are, but we're not friends, so I'm almost kind of isolated in that respect. I'm kind of a loner too, so I don't see a lot of people or stuff, but you know, I think it's different everywhere, but there's major similarities probably. I don't know, I'm not super informed on every aspect of it.